meeting of November the 2nd. Let us begin with Debbie Brownell and the flag salute and the four-way test. Mike.
You know you don't like it.
The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Number one, is it true? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And if you're a Rotarian, have fun.
Thank you, Dad. Bobby Drake. With the inspiration for the day.
My inspiration for the day is don't forget your quote on your computer at home. It's from Albert Giacometti, who's an artist who did the kind of long, stringy people. And he says something along the lines of respecting others, and even when what they do is very different than what you do. And that goes along with his kind of odd sculpture. So anyway, thank you, sorry.
Thank you, Tommy. I do not see any visiting Rotarians. I don't believe we have any. I didn't see anybody signed up. Okay, how about guests? I know we have a few guests. Can we start? Yeah, so I have a guest of mine, Amanda, and her husband, David, who's just walking out the door at the moment. I guess you all. Listen, I invite people and you all scare them away like that. Yeah. But Amanda's a friend of ours, and she's interested in Rotary. What's that? You're representing David? Okay, good. There you go. Gary, Greg, Millard, you are almost members. Deb, you want to do something? Today may be a special day for Kelly, so of course you're welcome. Okay, how about let's do announcements. I just want to start with a couple quickies. If anyone is interested, I have this very fine catalog. Russell Hampton Company, if you need any Rotary bling, this is the place to get it, or clothing or anything. I'll just set it on the back. So if you would like to look at it, pins, medallions, whatever, Rotary paraphernalia. So I want to remind the board members that we have a stand-up board meeting afterwards, so stick around. We need a quorum to conduct some business. It won't take long. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to start being the nag and reminding everybody. It's a little early, but I want to remind everyone that we need to get our dues paid by the end of the year. And the reason is we need to pay our international and national dues to, Rotary. And if you haven't paid, basically we're covering your costs. We're paying for you. So it's just, and like I said, I don't want to be obnoxious, but I am going to be reminding you. And I know Laurel goes all ends to get people to remind people to pay. So I'm going to just start reminding you now. It's not, it's a little early yet, but by the end of the year, we've got to pay our dues. And we have, it's that time of year already. Next week, we will be posting the candidates for board members. Actually, they're technically called directors, and then a couple positions on the board like secretary and treasurer. We'll post that a month in advance, and then a meeting in December. I think it's the 16th or so. We actually vote, and we can take nominations from the floor. So anyway, that's just something to be aware of. It's coming up. Okay, they're queuing up, so let's go.
All right, the backpack program. I'm not going to be here the next 2 Thursdays, so I wanted to make sure I got up here and started talking about it again, put it in your minds. If you would like to make a donation, please do so to the RG Rotary Foundation. That way the money continues to stay with the program, even if it's not all used. At this point, I have actually used about everything that I've gotten, because we actually, instead of buying jelly and bread this year to go with the backpacks, because I was just a little afraid of how that bread ended up getting home. I just ordered $659 worth of graham crackers. So we figured graham crackers would go really well with the peanut butter, et cetera, and so we've got that. I do have probably a few $100,000, I'm sorry, I was at my other branch, so I didn't have my numbers with me. A few $100 left available, but that has to cover the rest of the food that the grocery outlet doesn't cover. And we know where we've increased it to 240 kids and they give us $1,000 toward it, I'm definitely gonna have a lot of money that I'm gonna have to pay for the additional food to get in there. But things are coming together fantastically. I've already gotten everything. Costco notified me that my graham crackers are on delivery, but other than that, we've already got the gloves and the socks and the toothbrushes and toothpaste and yeah, the books definitely are here, and we've got the stuffed toys and basically everything other than the actual food items that are coming from grocery outlet. I want to thank you for those of you that have donated or purchased funds, things that Patty Toronto's brought in, et cetera, for us to be able to help increase it. But again, if you would like to make a donation, please do to the RG Rotary Foundation. Let me know that you have so that I know that I got those monies available to me as well. And of course, I'm trying to work with Jan to make sure I've got it there too. That it's coming up, so don't forget, save your date. I think it was December 12th that I got it for it. And off the top of my head, that's what I'm remembering. So we definitely want everybody to be there to help participate in stuffing the backpacks. I'm going to have a couple different shifts. The first shift will be there to help unload and get all of everything out of the containers ready for the stuffing event. So you can work both shifts, but I'm definitely going to have to bump up the number of people being there to help unload this year. Doug and I are kind of scheduled to go, but they don't want us even at the school until after 4 because kids don't get out until 3:40 now. So we're going to kind of have to bump it a little later possibly, but if we get more people unloading, you'll be able to stuff again at 5:30. So thank you very much.
Okay, I have a question for everybody. You know, Operation Joy that we have done as for the past several years where we fill out the Christmas cards or holiday cards to folks in local nursing homes. Are you guys interested in doing that again this year? Raise your hand if yes. Okay, looks like the majority. I just said it's filling out Christmas cards for folks in nursing homes. Do you need more explanation than that? No, you got it. Okay, so if you guys do want to do that, I'll go ahead and get us signed up for it and start right now by saving your holiday cards. You know how sometimes when you donate to a nonprofit, they send you some holiday cards. Hold on to those. And what we'll do is we'll fill them out that they say, you know, dear friend or dear neighbor, I hope you have a wonderful holiday, et cetera, et cetera. We keep it really generic, but I will give you some dates in the next few weeks as to when our deadline will be to collect them all and get them all turned in. Thank you.
I just want to add that you can actually do it during the meeting, while you're sitting here. You can fill things out before, after, during. So it's a pretty easy thing to do, and I think it has a lot of benefit. So,
Well, aside from being inept about bringing in my invocation or inspiration rather, I also managed to not be able to get Meal Train to let you guys know we were helping Patty out. So if there's anyone, because some of you got missed and some of you didn't, if there's anyone that would like to help with the dinner, I could still tell you some of the times available, but my apologies, the computer and I are not friends this week. So, do you know why? Wait, stop. It's for Patty Toronto. She had, you know, she's been going around with a sling on. She had the surgery 3 days ago, the 30th. And horrible pain. She's going to survive because I sent her, she wants to go to the Philippines on a Rotary exchange trip. So I let her know that was on March 19th or something. And she goes, oh yes, I will be strong and do that. So she's doing well, minus the pain. So anyway, good strong thoughts for her. And I know she'd love more food.
Hi, just a couple of quick reminders. One, it's November, and that means that the blue bag holiday match starts November 15, so if you have some bags that you're filling up, hang on to them for a couple more weeks. Beginning November 15, we get 20% match automatically for all the returnable bottles and cans we put in. Secondly, tonight is the community celebration put on by the Foley Community Foundation and honoring Steve Rowe. If you haven't got tickets, see me immediately.
Good afternoon. This is put this date on your calendar if you're interested. On the 7th of December, December 7, 4 to 7, come to the Glass Forge. You'll be able to come and see the mural, blow your mind, blow an instrument, not an instrument, you could blow an ornament at the Glass Forge. They'll be setting it up for us. We'll have 2 shifts, but if you're interested in doing that, we'll have a sign-up sheet starting next week. And if you want to shoot a message to anybody on the social committee right away, you can do that as well.
I'm gonna be redundant. So Steve is winning the award for community member today. So to Steve. And I think to add to what Deb just said, that December 7th day is our club social. Is that right, Deb?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's our club social for that month. We're going to the Glass Forge. We've done that a few times in the past. And that, I'm hoping, what's your name? Jody, there you are. You're gonna do the ornament exchange again?
I would love that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on the schedule or not, but that would be that's a perfect opportunity to Glass Forge to pick up a really cool ornament to offer up in the exchange. So I have an announcement via the high school in our partnership with the high school, and there I'll start at the beginning. For those of you who don't know, we partner with the high school with various opportunities to volunteer at the high school for them, and they have what's called a Deb, remind me, what is it called again, Deb? Not the ethics workshop, but the whole thing, the class they give it in sophomores for Career Academy. So they have sophomores go through something called Career Academy where they learn a variety of skills, getting jobs, finding jobs and whatnot. And they need volunteers to help do 2 things. One in the very near future is called ethics workshop. And a lot of you will be fine going there helping with ethics. Some of us, a couple of you in here can fake it for at least a half a day or so, right? We can fake it. We can fake being ethical for half a day. And so ethics workshop, November 16th, we'll send a follow-up email to everybody. If you want to volunteer, you volunteer for half a day or a full day. And you just help guide a group of about 5 or 6 students through an ethical dilemma. And basically you just make sure they're talking about it, writing down what their ideas are to solve the ethical dilemma. And then they also have mock interviews December 14th. And mock interviews are where the students have written resumes, and they come in and you sort of do a pretend interview and you talk them through the process or what happens during an interview and kind of give them guidance on that. And they need volunteers for that. And that's December 14th. And we'll send all those dates out in an email in the very near future. Thanks. And don't forget to buy your cards. If you haven't already, the money from these cards goes into our Polio Plus funds. Hey, one more thing before the program begins. We have a little special thing today. We have 2 inductees I'd like to invite up here, as well as their presenters. Kelly is one. And where's the other? Oh, Renee, there you are. Come on up.
All right, so Road Gateway Rotary welcomes Kelly Witters to our club, a native of Medford. We won't hold that against you. Kelly comes to us from a long line of Rotarians. Her father, Craig Stone, was president of the Medford Rotary the pivotal year when women were allowed to join. Kelly also remembers her family hosting an international exchange student from Poland and how that experience shaped her. Now she is hoping to host a student from the Rotary program and give her family the opportunities to serve that she had as the child of a Rotarian. Kelly is married with 3 children, ages 23, 15, and 13. Her husband, Jeff Witters, volunteers as a fixed-wing pilot for Jackson County Search and Rescue Team, and his profession is in biotechnology sales for late-stage prostate cancer. Kelly graduated from U of O School of Business in 2002, and she almost never misses a Ducks game, except when someone plans a wedding on a football Saturday.
My son.
You know, after all those years.
He's a duck too.
He must really love his wife. Kelly works as a financial advisor for Edward Jones in Grants Pass and is studying to become a certified financial planner. She enjoys her career working with people to come up with individualized plans for financial needs and goals. Before her job with Edward Jones, Kelly worked in senior placement consulting, where she developed her passion for senior adults, which continues in her work as she helps them invest wisely. The cause that touches Kelly's heart is Alzheimer's, and she served as chairperson for the Southern Oregon Alzheimer's Walk for 2 years. Coincidentally, Edward Jones is now the national presenting sponsor and biggest donor for the Alzheimer's Association, with the disease being number 6 in the causes of death in the U.S. Kelly remains a dedicated Alzheimer's volunteer and is excited to share opportunities to serve with Road Gateway.
Welcome to the club, and see that blue badge? The goal is to turn, or the red badge, the goal is to turn to a blue badge. Hey, welcome to the club.
Thank you.
Well, it's my privilege to introduce Renee Arnpriester. Unfortunately, because of some scheduling difficulties, I can't give you a more familiar description, but we'll do that at a later date. But I think just for Renee to talk about what she put in her application is pretty significant in and of itself. So Renee.
Not used to this, so I feel a little uncomfortable, but wanted to first off say thank you to everybody who's helped me through this process. They made it really easy, and they're just wonderful people, so thank you, Dawn and Beth and everyone. My initial attraction to Rotary, though, was just like the involvement in the community. I kind of shared with them that I grew up in a small rural town in Douglas County, where my dad, who also served a lot, he served on the fire station. He served with the ambulance station. He was a grand marshal. He was a mayor, and also ran the city that we lived in. So I watched him serve a lot, which was really rewarding. I then later came in to graduate here in North Valley. So that kind of brought me into the Jefferson County area. And then in 2019, I moved to Grants Pass, and I would see a lot of the community events happening, and a lot of them happened to be Rotary. So that was how I heard about Rotary. It was just community events happening and different things. And then I started to work for Evergreen Federal Bank also in 2019. And they had quite a strong passion for Rotary, and many people are involved that way too. So I had a really strong desire. So coming here for the past 2 months, I just want to say that all of you guys are such an inspiration. I'm seriously, I'm 24, so it's been really exciting to try and learn how to get involved in the community, and hearing all of y'all's stories and the different things you do and aspects of Rotary is so incredible. And it's not just our community, it's the polio, it's the international stuff, it's our kids in our community. And it's all such an inspiration, and your guys' individual stories have also really impacted my heart a lot. So I'm excited to continue to grow and be involved with y'all. So thank you.
One more. I mean, these are pretty great people who are joining our club. So let's give them all another big round of applause. Congratulations. Thank you. Let's be a clap. And now, none other than Steve Rowe.
Okay, well, this was kind of a last minute pinch hit, I think. We had another program scheduled that was not able to attend. And so I decided, you know what, I could do a program on therapy dogs. And so I thought I'd spend a few minutes talking about therapy dogs and how I came about in this journey. Like, you know, some people have a misrepresentation or a misunderstanding of what a therapy dog, the different kinds of service animals there are, and they make there is quite a difference in the community as far as how they help others. And so you hear me talk about therapy dogs, but a more proper term is actually therapy animals. And so dogs are the most common therapy animals. So Jody, what do you think the second most common?
Well, I would say it was horses.
Horses are right. All right. How did I know to go to you? Okay. So after horses are cats, rabbits, and you'll hear more about the organization I work with, Pet Partners. But somebody in the United States has 2 therapy rats, and the only animal that is not allowed, or excuse me, I shouldn't say the only animal, but the only species of animals that are not allowed to be therapy animals are any reptiles. So snakes, turtles, and the reason of that is they carry the disease of salmonella. So that's the reason for it. So if we'll start with the pets, and they serve a very valuable purpose in our own lives. But then a therapy dog, their role is to serve other people. And so they are not a service dog. Hope has a vest, which I'll show you in just a minute. So it's a therapy dog. But a service dog is much more involved training. And that's really to help a person with a specific situation, help them succeed better in life, such as maybe hearing, vision. There's all kinds of different cardiac conditions, those type of things. And then the other one you'll hear about is emotional support animal, ESA. And the emotional support animal is where you get a doctor's prescription to be able to have that animal, and it allows openings for housing. And sometimes I will say Amazon or places like that, they have the best money can buy. And so what I mean by that is you can get a service dog vest without a prescription, without, and that may or may not be true. And so that's, it's kind of a misunderstood. And so therapy dogs are to help other people. So some of the places I go and visit with Hope, this is actually, you'll see here the sign about hope there, and creating hope in the world actually came about special time for me, I guess, because that's when it came time. This is actually, Hope is actually our 5th therapy dog, when I say. So we actually have another dog, Finn, and Finn is my wife's therapy dog. So you have to actually, I belong to an organization called Pet Partners, and there are probably 3 or 4 organizations that do evaluation of therapy animals. There's Pet Partners, there's TDI, which is Therapy Dogs International, Alliance for Therapy Dogs, and probably a couple other ones out there too. And one of the benefits, I guess, is they have an evaluation process. And Pet Partners, I don't know, I looked at different ones, and actually I've used TDI. One of the other dogs I had, I think it was about maybe 12 years ago, that Tristan, my grandson, was playing with Franklin in the living room. And he just happened as he was a couple of years old, and he was just, he put his hands in his mouth, and I thought, man, that's pretty amazing that he's not going to get bit. I said, I wonder if that dog could become a therapy dog. And so Franklin was our first therapy dog, and we had different ones. Probably the most famous one from my life was Bonnie. And Bonnie, many people in the room know, she was really this special dog. And what happened there, the way I got her, was there was a customer of ours, and she saw Franklin. And she said, well, I want a dog just like yours. I says, well, and so I kind of helped her find a dog, and she found Bonnie, and Bonnie was an inseparable part of her life. She bought Cadillacs from us, and whenever we had to get a service loaner for her, she always took Bonnie with her. And so Bonnie was with her, actually, when she developed brain cancer and was not able her condition gradually deteriorated, and Bonnie was with her the whole time. in bed. And she would just lay there. And it was, I got a call, I knew she was ill. And the family said that they had found a good home for Bonnie and didn't think anything more about it. We actually had 2 other dogs at the time. And the family called and they said, you know, my mom is not doing well. And would you be willing to take Bonnie? I said, let me check Christy and talk to Christy. And she says, you know what, we got 2, let's make it 3. And we did. And I said, you know what? I said, you just let me know the appropriate time. And I don't know what that time would be, but I said, at any stage. And the next day I got a call from the family. And they said, could we bring Bonnie by this afternoon? I says, is she ready for that? And she says, well, she passed away this morning. And I really don't file details to make sure that her pet was taken care of. And so Bonnie, she came in and she was ruling the roost probably that night with the other 2 dogs. And so she was an instant therapy dog. And she was a really great therapy dog. And then came Molly. Molly was a good dog too. She was more timid. And then there's Hope. And Finn is actually, my wife Christy did the testing with Hope, or excuse me, with Finn. And so each of us have our own therapy dogs. The emotional support animal with her, I think she qualifies an emotional support animal for me too at the same time. We're pretty close together. But the pet therapy, the places we visit, Asante Hospice, we visit hospice patients because many hospice patients are in a facility, a healthcare facility, and they've had to give up their pets. And you know, if you think about hospice, that whole grief process of hospice, and for the family, you've given up everything at that point. You've given up so much in life. And so when I bring Hope by for a few minutes and let the person pet Hope, there's just this instant smile that comes about. The other place we go is Asante Road Regional Medical Center, and there's 3 places that we visit there. And the first place is pediatrics, and it's always, the kids are, we can't go to places where kids have got any infectious disease, any breathing type, where it could spread disease. But when children are in isolation, but there's still a lot of opportunities. And one of the things you'll hear about maybe tonight in a different way, but through the 4-Way Community Foundation, there is a $10,000 gift. And so I've made a selection to go to Asante Pediatric Mental Health, because there's many times I can visit the pediatrics department and there is let's say a 15 or 16-year-old, doesn't matter the age, but under the age of 18, and they are struggling. And Asante has some pediatric mental health, but not a great deal. And I think we can do better in that area. And what this means is the children are waiting for a room in Portland for a pediatric mental health treatment. And so I'll spend like maybe up to 45 minutes with the person in the room, the child. And sometimes there's a loved one with them, a parent or significant other. Sometimes they're by themselves, and you know, they are safe at that point. There's a sitter outside the room to make sure that they are not harming themselves and to keep them safe, but they're so lonely at that point. And so it's always a highlight to say, and you know, I have Humana cards, which you know are one of my trademark business cards. And I'll always make sure to give them a business card, you know, with the cards that say Humana, that's the only 2 words on it. Because to let them know that somebody's thinking about them at the same time. And you know, they'll pet Hope at the same time. There's a blanket we put in the bed, and Hope is actually a really nice size to fit in a hospital bed, being a relatively small animal, about 13 pounds. The other place we go is behavioral health units, and this was known as probably, I don't prefer it to be known this way, it's called 2 North in the old days of before it was, and now it's in a different floor and different section of the hospital. And it's so much better for the patients that are there. And the old facility, the old part of the was 18 beds, it's now 24 beds. And these are individuals that are over the age of 18 and all ages. I mean, all the way up to senior citizen 18 along that way. And these are individuals that are undergoing behavioral health treatment. And, you know, again, they can't have their animals with them. And animals were a big part of their life. And I spent a great deal of time, they want to know about, you know, can I get a service dog when I get discharged from the hospital? And, we talked about how they could do that, or an emotional support animal, the different things there. But, there's just a tremendous interest in that. The other place is stroke rehab, inpatient rehab, and have a brush for hope. And the brush actually serves two purposes. Number one, it, probably most importantly, it allows the patient, oftentimes with a stroke, they have some limited mobility with their hands. And so they can use this brush, and the brush is very soft. And sometimes they get a little bit maybe rough with her because they don't really know their own strength and what happens when they're brushing her. But that's the same type of thing. But again, they miss their animals at home, and it gives them that sense of companionship. My next goal with Hope, with pet partners, is they have a new significant crisis intervention dog, or crisis intervention animal, actually. And that would be, that's a different level. So every 2 years, she has to be reevaluated. Pet Partners is the only one of the organizations that has a every 2-year reevaluation policy. The others are all lifetime policy. And so many people ask, how do you get a therapy dog? And for me, I started with Hope, and Finn, when they were both just puppies. And they went through all the AKC, American Kennel Club. There's 3 different levels of training that are there, AKC. And so that is the basic obedience. It's a great place to start with therapy dog training, because the dog has to have the basic obedience skills. But once they reach that level, the dog has to be at least 6. You have had to own the animal at least 6 months, and the animal has to be at least 1 year old. And so if you have an old, like Bonnie, I had to wait 6 months because she was over the age of 1 year. With Hope, I had to wait so she was 14 months to get her evaluated. And an evaluation process, we're actually going next week up to Newport, and it's at the Newport Yacht Club, and they have an evaluator come in, and they usually do about 7 or 8 dogs. They're all new dogs this time. I've actually participated with horses too on the evaluation there, but I think this was all dogs, that the process. And in this 45-minute evaluation, what we do as a team is we have to make sure, first of all, that the dog will do the basic obedience, like sit, and also to heel on a leash. But then there's also things that go along with it. So they have some people that are in wheelchairs, and you have to make sure the animal is wheelchairs. Then they have some people on walkers. Walkers are probably one of the reasons the dogs fail the most, because in the bottom of the walkers are tennis balls. And so the dog wants to chase the tennis ball. And so you got to make sure that your dog does not chase the tennis ball. You have to do it like a leave it command, where they don't, they put a toy out in the middle of the room and they have to ignore the toy. Loud noises. And so they'll drop a clipboard, and the dog can react to the clipboard because it's pretty big, but it has to recover quickly, is that with the portion there. And then they have a group of people, volunteers, and they're pretending to have an argument among themselves. And so they're arguing among themselves in loud voices. And you have to make sure that the dog doesn't freak out at that time. But in the meantime, you're also, as a handler, being evaluated to make sure, because if a person is in a wheelchair, knowing the proper procedure of how to come up to a person in a wheelchair, so that if Hope was on the floor, to make sure that she's at the right level, because sometimes a person that's on the floor can't reach the dog. And so we're going to make sure that they're able to do that. And they're handling with their mouth to make sure that they don't bite the person with their. Usually I would say there's about maybe 2 that are not quite ready at this time. Nobody really fails, but maybe not ready. If the dog bites during the evaluation, they can never be tested again, which I've never seen that happen. But sometimes the dog and the handler are just not quite ready. Some people ask, can any dog become a therapy dog? And what I mean, let's say there's certain breeds that are known to be pit bulls, for example, might have a reputation that is either deserved or undeserved. And I've seen great pit bull therapy dogs, and I've seen Chihuahuas fail. So it does not matter the breed; it matters the dog itself, as well as the handler, to make a difference in that different type of thing. The other place we visit We visit the library on Tuesdays between 3 and 4 for an hour to read with kids. And also at the Lincoln Elementary, I think is the only school in School District 7 that does reading with kids. And so there's about 6 dogs that are there, and we read with second graders. And I know many of you read with kids, different ages in the elementary schools. And that also is a good time to do it. So some of the things that I take with me on visit. The world's greatest hope is on the bag. So some of the things that I have are cleaning wipes. Cleanliness is a really important part of a visit because you want to make sure that you don't spread disease. And so one of the things before you have to give your dog a bath or any animal no more than 24 hours before a visit to make sure that they're not doing it. But a lot of times I'll just use some cleaning wipes. I always have a book. This one's called The Smallest Horse. Read with kids. That also is a big thing. A blanket. So I put in the bed to kind of create a barrier between the bed. Hand sanitizer. We use hand sanitizer before and after the visit. And so if it's a person there, they get hand sanitizer when they first pet the animal and then after they pet the animal. And again, the purpose there is for cleanliness, stop spreading disease. This is her vest, and she also has her own name badge at the hospital when she visits. And because at Asante, dogs are not really eligible to visit, but when she has the name badge, then it gives her past security. Treats are always a big thing. I always carry treats. And this is the brush that I use. It's a very soft brush, and the patient can cope with that, and she doesn't mind at all. And I carry the Humana cards, and then I have her own business cards that I leave with them. And that's always a hit, as far as in pediatrics, the way I define successful visit, is if the parent leaves. Oftentimes there's a parent in the room or something. Can I take a picture? And she's been in a lot of pictures with people in the hospital, and they think, what can they really visit? And so they think that's an awesome type of thing. HIPAA, which is the prevention of privacy, is a big thing when we visit as a volunteer. You don't talk about who you visited, you run across people. Because oftentimes in the behavioral health unit, there are people there that I may know from the community. But you'll never find out from me who I saw in that room. Or I might see their parent or there or something. There's just different kinds of situation. And I really, one of the things with me, and because of my prior mental health treatment and everything, that's such a big thing, is you want to make sure that the person retains their dignity in those situations and they get what is important for you. One of the things you always have to make sure of is watching out for your animal first on the visit. Because sometimes a person will get a little rough with you. So you'll notice the collar on both, it's a quick release collar. And so if there's a problem and they start choking or something like that, you can quickly release the collar because you can't have a chain collar or anything like that. It has to be the quick release that you can pop off there just at the drop of hats. Let's see. For me, I think my qualifications, I guess, is becoming really interested in people, and not judging individuals. And sometimes you see people at their worst, sometimes at their best in a different situation. And what I mean by that is when a person's in the hospital, they may not want to be there. I can remember, I think it was Bonnie, and we were visiting the second floor for somebody was waiting for surgery, and this lady, she was very, very elderly, and she was waiting for her husband who was in surgery. And she says, can I pet your dog? It was Bonnie at the time. I said, absolutely. And so she did. And I actually thought she was going to squeeze her. I mean, she was just that, and she was just sobbing at the same time, because obviously she was so concerned about her loved one. And so if you can bring that joy to somebody, or that peace to somebody for just a few minutes of comfort during that situation, I think it makes all the difference in the world. One of the things I strongly believe in, and this kind of goes beyond a therapy dog, but for all of us, is it's something that I work at with the youth, the Oregon Youth Authority, is finding out what your skills are what your interests are, and what your values. And we had blue zones in our community a couple of years ago, and they said the two most dangerous years of your life are the year that you're born and the year that you retire. And by having purpose, I think, is such an important part. And that's one of the things I find about Rotary, that I love so much about Rotary, is Rotary has a great purpose for each of us to continue on to serve others. But if you can take your skills, if you think of a triangle, or it's a pie, and the pie is divided into 3 sections of your skills, your interests, and your values. And at the center of that, I call your sweet spot. And that's the area that, for me, I have found with therapy dogs, that has been, because I've been on a stronger skill at it, but I definitely have got it through practice. I have the interest in helping people, and my values, that combination. And therapy dogs, the thing for me is, I think this is something that I'll probably say to my friend, is I'm a rather shy person. And when I visit with somebody in the hospital, it's no longer about me, it's about hope. And so I'm able to, we have conversations, and it's about the dog, and it's not about cars, it's not about other things in my life, it's about them and their different type of things. Hope goes to work with me. Ben sometimes goes to work with me too as well. But I think just that would be the number one thing, is just spending time with the dog to make sure that they're always comfortable in different situations. Because some situations, especially in the behavioral health unit, it can get a little stressful. And I never visit for probably with one patient more than 20 to 30 minutes, because I can just tell when I'm coming home with her after a visit, Hope just sleeps in the back of the car. She is exhausted because of there's a certain stress in her for that visit, because I don't know what it is about her, and Bonnie was the same way, but there's just that they know when they put this vest on, that it's time for them to go to work. And it's just, they become different. Like Hope, she loves to chase the ball at night. With Christy and I, she'll chase it for hours. But when she goes out, then she knows, okay, it's time to behave at this point. And anybody have any questions about therapy dogs, therapy animals? Yeah.
You said that dogs were hired after behavioral.
Behavioral health unit or pediatrics, anytime they go to work, even reading at the library, because
Still work.
it's still work to them. It's still a work. It's a stressful visit in a good way, but they just need that rest. I think the recuperation. Plus, dogs sleep. They just, especially her, she sleeps a lot, and it just makes it really, really comfortable. But you can tell, you're not supposed to visit per the rules more than 1 hour. A 2-hour visit is the maximum allowed visit, and so for me, 2 hours is the maximum visit, even among all the patients, because of the fact you're watching out your animal first. And so, but when you can't have more than 2 hours, you really are you're doing your animal a disservice, whatever animal you have. Jolene.
I have always admired Hope, but I don't know what breed she is.
Okay, she's called a King Charles Spaniel. She's also known as a Velcro dog. What I mean by that is they are always with you. When you get a King Charles, your days to go to the restroom are over, because they are with you all the time. If in a total series, if you want to stress out a King Charles, you leave them by themselves. And so like when I have Ben at home, he's got music, that kind of stuff. But to let him know that they're there. But if you go back, so King Charles III is on the throne of England right now. King Charles II was in the 1600s. The castles in England are very, very cold. And so he wanted this dog that was a lap dog. And so they bred the King Charles to sit on the king's lap and keep the king warm, as well as you'll notice their fur is long and attracts fleas and flies and that type of thing. And the castles have a lot of disease in them with the animals and everything, and the fur actually would catch the parasites and that type of thing, so they wouldn't get the king full of these parasites and everything in the castles. Because castles, you think about castles in England being this elaborate places, in those type of years, they really weren't. They were a lot of things left to be desired as far as cleanliness and that type of stuff. Yeah, you bet. Yeah, all of our dogs have been King Charles. Yeah.
So I'm assuming there's I don't know if this is right, but an endless need for people that might have therapy dogs. Is that correct? I mean, they could use volunteers that did that.
Yes.
Hospital systems.
Right. Yeah. I was actually I was visiting a hospice patient yesterday at a local retirement facility, and I was walking out with Hope, and I visited the patient, and they said, "Is there a chance you would come back and visit with all the residents?" I said, "You know what?" I says, "I probably would. You could make it a full-time job as far as visiting." The problem, I think, there's not that many therapy dogs around. In Asante, I think there's 3 dogs that are eligible for therapy dogs. One of the people is actually she's a nurse at the behavioral health unit. She brings her dog Red. She's actually going to be a speaker, or asked her to be a speaker. I think this is in March. She's going to be a speaker at our club talking about her life with the behavioral health. Hopefully she'll bring Red too as well. But there's much more of a need. And you know, there's some of these people, they don't have the proper registrations. They use the wrong. They'll try and bring them in without being registered. But if Sante recognizes Therapy Dogs International, Alliance, and Pet Markers are the ones they recognize. There's a couple others out there, but they're probably just not. They have the evaluation. But there's a great need for it. I think it's really more of a need for it than our dogs or animals to fulfill it.
I like to work in the behavioral health field, and when you bring a therapy dog into a patient's room, you're actually helping them heal. Because if they're petting the dog, it reduces the amount of cortisol, which is the stress hormone in your brain, and increases the amount of serotonin and dopamine, which are the pleasure chemicals in the brain increases, and that in itself helps the body to heal.
Yeah, you know, one of the things we've done with Hope is we combine the pet therapy with music therapy and art therapy, and the 3 combinations. And so what the patient will be doing is they'll be coloring or art, certain type of artwork, and then they get a chance to they have just a wide library of different music, and so they get to play the song that they want to play, and so they talk about why that song was important to them in their life, and so at the same time they're petting Hope. So it's you know, the 3 elements of music, art, and the pet therapy all go together, and so in that 2-hour session, and Hope just becomes a path where she just goes from person to person. And some people you have to, you know, you also I think have to be aware they don't want to participate, and I get that. You know, maybe they have the incident with their dog, part of their life in which the dog has bitten them, or they're scared of them for whatever reason. And you just watch for people's eyes, and I can just tell by the eyes, okay, this is not gonna, you know. And I always give people the option: would you like to hold open? They say no. I totally get that. And some people will come back around later on once they get more comfortable and they see that Hope is not going to bite them. And so after time, they say, okay, I'll do it now. That's up to them. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve, for the program, and also for stepping up at the last moment. That was great. Really appreciate that. Let's see, Doug, Sergeant at Arms.
Okay. So I have a couple quick announcements I forgot about. So Porch Fest, Patty Hansen is going to be finishing off the applications for nonprofits in the community that ask for money from Porch Fest for next year. That's coming in the very near future. So if you are involved with or know a nonprofit that serves children, kids, youth, let them know that we're going to be asking for an application. It's a pretty simple process for funds that come from Porch Fest for next year. So that's coming in the very near future. And then also our own sort of service projects, or what we do when we partner with other groups. We don't really have anything happening for January, February. So if you know of any groups out there doing anything that wants some extra volunteers or something, let us know so we can get people out there to help. So I have a surprise for Sergeant at Arms, because I'm lazy. Trivia about Halloween. Who'd have thought it was Halloween? So first off, I would love to hear, we'd all love to hear a story or two of any of you in sort of your epic greatest costumes you might have had, or those you might have made for a child or something like that, or costume fails. And then I have a little trivia to throw in and out, and then we have some candy to give away to those who answer the trivia. So epic costume fails. So we have 3 kids, and obviously you can have a lot of fun decorating your kids for Halloween, especially when they're little and they let you kind of do whatever you want. And so one time we did, and I don't remember which one it was probably Chris, because he was the easiest to convince to go along with things. I think we were either making a soccer ball, he was gonna be a soccer ball, or he was gonna be a snowman. And I spent quite a bit of time trying to make paper mache balls. I think it was snowman. And so at a certain point, they were just too weak and they collapsed on each other. So we kept adding paper mache, adding paper mache. And then they just became stupid heavy for this 6-year-old. And you couldn't do it. It just collapsed. I'm saying the last moment we had to throw that giant wad of paper mache away and do something else. That was one of my epic fails, Halloween costumes. Does anybody else got any costumes? Kelly. Oh, Kelly, hang on, microphone.
Okay, this is about my youngest Leah, which she would kill me if she knew I was telling you this. When she was in grade school at Lincoln, she and a good friend, Val Lovelace's daughter, Jasmine, decided, and I don't know how they picked. One was going to be a bottle of Tylenol, and the other one was going to be the box. So Val and I and the kids made these costumes, did this great job on the costumes. And at that time, it was Washington Boulevard that you went up and down and trick or treated at, because it was, you know, you were guaranteed hundreds of candies. What was not factored into this costume process was how to go to the bathroom. Need I say more?
Does anyone have lost socks? That extra socks in the dryer? Yeah, so I was the lost sock magnet. And I had literally all these lost socks that we collected all into my body. Everybody could relate to that one.
That's a good one. Okay, trivia. One first trivia. See who can answer this. What's the most popular candy in the US at Halloween time? You got it. You got one. Okay. Any other? Oh, don't clap. Right? That was not hard. What the heck? Anybody else got stories? No? Okay. I think the most successful Halloween costume we made was again for Chris, but it was his idea, and he was a headless person, and so is wearing a raincoat, a very long raincoat, and it's way above him. So we had to build a superstructure so this raincoat was way above his head with arms coming off of it, holding a plastic jug over his head. So the raincoat had no head and his arms were coming down holding the head there. And I believe he won best costume at the elementary school for that one. It was his idea, but it really worked out well. We had to spend a few days making the superstructure to hold the raincoat out and look full and everything. That was a pretty good one. Okay, any other stories on Halloween costumes? Margaret, hang on, come your way.
This isn't so much a costume as it was sort of a haunted porch. I lived on Manzanita, just south of Washington, and we got a lot of the kids that would go up and down Washington. So we set up a haunted house on our front porch and hired 2 of our high school age kids to act like zombies. And the kids one was a witch, and she would stir her pot. We had ice in it, that dried ice, yeah. And the other one would come out of the bushes like a zombie. And the kids were so frightened to come up and get the candy that they would walk up like this. You know? But they all came to get candy. And my mom and I were on the other side of the door peering through the window, and we laughed so hard. I swear my mom peed her pants.
That's a good one. Okay, next trivia. What culture started Halloween? Culture, area of the world. Where did Halloween sort of come from? Anybody know? Ireland? Germany. Yeah, it comes from the Celtic culture, which is Ireland, Germany, Northwest Europe. And it was their day, it was the night, the shortest night. Oh, wait a minute, let me read it. Okay. it's Sam Hain was the name of it, marking the changes of season. Sam Hain occurred on November 1, but kicked off the evening before. On this night, they thought the veil between this world and the next was thought to be especially thin, and that's when they could either communicate or be bothered by spirits from the other world. Excellent. Okay, Candy, who else had it? Yeah, am I running out of time? Yes. Yes, I'm running out of time. Okay, happy bucks. You got it right? Oh. Why are you waving at me then? Okay. Wait. Yeah, the people on the.
When I was 8, we raised sheep. We lived on a farm, and so my mother decided to have me be little Bo Peep. And I had my little lamb with me, and in our neighborhood, there was always this one great big wonderful 2-story home, and they had their Halloween spread inside. And so the kids, the neighborhood kids, could go in and go around, and so they invited me in with my lamb, who got loose. Up the stairs, pooped everywhere. I was in tears, chasing her up and down. And of course, that made her go even. But you know, the people were so kind and so nice. And I actually have a picture. I should have brought it if I did.
All right, that's a cute one. Okay, you're lucky. No more trivia. Happy bucks. Brenda.
I have a happy $5 because once again, when I say our club is awesome, it couldn't get any better, it gets better. And I want to thank our 2 new members. It's wonderful additions to our club. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, well, I have a couple happy bucks because Patty's doing so well. So that's really neat. She'll be back here with her great smile and jumping around again soon.
Yeah, excellent. So along that line for Patty, for those that are interested in making a meal for her, because her husband Jerry apparently doesn't make meals very much. We got to teach him to make macaroni and cheese or something. Do they contact you about that? So contact Tommy if you want to make a casserole or something for Patty. Okay.
This is not really a happy buck. It's a $1. And the reason I'm saying it is I look around and there are a lot more females in here than there are males. So I'm not sure I'm happy about that. But I want to brag on Crystal Delaney. Some of you remember Crystal. She was a member of this club. When she lived in Nevada, and Rotary was the way it should be. She showed up at a Rotary meeting, and several guys said, "What are you doing here? This is a men's club." And yeah, well, that was the day. And she said, "I'm a business person, I'm a professional, and I belong here." So she was a trendsetter. Yeah.
Good for Crystal.
Right. I'll do $5 for the 2 new members and a wonderful program by Steve. Whoops.
Two for the members. I'm really happy they joined, and I'm looking forward to all the new ones that are coming up in the works. And also, thank you, Margaret, for doing the Halloween party. And thank you, Cindy, for having it at WCST. It was a blast.
Yeah, I agree. That was a lot of fun, and it's nice. We live somewhere where kids don't come down a little narrow street. It's nice to go somewhere where you see little kids run around.
I have 5 happy bucks, 1 for Steve for doing a great program, and as I said once before, Steve came and brought hope to visit my mother when she was in memory care. Very moving. I want to thank everybody who came to the Halloween party. We had a great time with some really good costumes. He came as St. Francis of Assisi. Did really well. And the last thing I want to say is I had an incredible tomato harvest this year, and I brought them with me again today. And anybody wants some, they're on the table over here. Help yourself.
Yes, take some tomatoes, there are green tomatoes, red tomatoes, and then there are peppers. And the peppers are a variety of peppers. Some of them are a little bit hot, some are jalapenos, and some are not hot. So just take them at your own risk. Anyone else? Yes, Steve.
I'll talk about my most memorable costume 67 years ago. It was my birthday suit.
Not bad. That is right. Happy birthday, Steve. I think it was a couple days ago, right? Yeah. Happy birthday. If that is it, for Happy Bucks, we'll do the cards. Laura?
Yeah, I have 15 happy bucks, 5 for Steve's talk, 5 for the new members, and 5 for making a meal for Patty. I went to see her the second day actually, and she was so, a lot of pain, but she stood up and hugged me. It was wonderful. So please do go. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do the card draw. I think that's about the last of it. Margaret, are the cards sold out over there? Okay. So we're gonna draw a card. Amanda, would you pick a card this first? Sure, 50-50 drawing. The winner is the Ace of Hearts. Ooh, you should draw a card tomorrow. Ace of Hearts. Got it. Oh, Kirk, you're the winner. All right. Throw it in the portfolio, he says. The bookkeeper, throw it in the portfolio. Thank you, Kirk.
Good. Thank you, Kurt. And I do remember those dollars do go to the Foley Plus Fund, so it's going to a good cause. Something of interest on today, November 2nd of 1976. Anybody know what happened? 1976 today? Jimmy Carter became president of the United States. He defeated Gerald Ford for the presidency. And in honor of Mr. Carter, here's a quotation. Let us learn together, and laugh together, and pray together, confident that in the end, we will triumph in the right. So thank you, everybody, for coming, and have a good day. Yeah, we got board meeting. Stand up, board meeting. Yeah.